Hey guys, I just thought I'd show you some photographs from my national park backpacking adventures. This is Grand Canyon National Park. That's our boots hanging over the edge of the Grand Canyon right before we went down. Right before we went down, we were experiencing record low temperatures. So it was actually 18 degrees when we left that morning, and our water bottles in our backpacks were definitely frozen by the time we got to the bottom. That's me being dragged across a especially slippery and frozen part of the trail. That is normally a regular waterfall, but it was frozen solid when we passed it. That's me in the blue coat. This was our trip to Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado. We started at Aspen, then we went over this mountain, which is Maroon Bells, and ended up at Crested Butte on the other side. I was feeling especially strong when we got to the top. This is one of the water crossings. This was actually a pretty low one. Some of the water crossings we go through are waist high. And there's my dirty sock. This was in Big Bend National Park in Texas. In the background, that's actually Mexico in the background, although we stayed on the Texas side. And this was our last trip that we took in 2018 at Sierra Nevada National Park. We did part of the John Muir Trail and also part of the Pacific Crest Trail. That's the Ansel Adams Wilderness. In the background of this picture, you can see that my friends are looking at our topographical map. Again, we made some friends along the way. This couple, she is from Israel and he was from Syria. That's it. All right, so this is the week the kids are learning about national parks, and they are supposed to be answering a question, so I thought we would take a minute and answer the question. So here's what they are answering. What features make national parks special and worth preserving? So most of our hiking is done in national parks, and so I'm kind of wondering what you guys think. What makes them special? Why are they worth preserving?
I think that a big part of what we think of as America is that we're very urban. There's all these big cities that are great to travel to, and the wonderful part of the national parks is that there's so much natural beauty in our country that we forget how much appeal this country has to other parts of the world. And I think that it's great for the people that live in the cities in the United States and throughout the world to be able to come see these natural places and to be able to explore them on the trails that have been developed and the roadways that have been developed and these beautiful campsites and hotels that our government has put in place for people like us to enjoy. And I think that it's very important to preserve them and to care for them and to continue to fund them so that our children and our grandchildren can continue to enjoy them.
One thing I've noticed about the national parks when I've traveled to them is how many people I see there that are from other countries. It's almost, I feel like I'm in New York City. I don't know if anybody's ever been to a big city and they hear all the different languages being spoken around, and it's the same in a national park, and it just reminds me of what an attraction they are to people who travel from abroad.
I think the important thing for me is that as well, that we have to preserve them. I mean, they have been really entrusted to us and to our care, and I think it's up to this generation and the next generation to instill that, the appreciation of how beautiful the creation is, and how important it is to keep it and preserve it for ourselves and for the generations to come.
So, what features make national parks special and worth preserving? You heard my friends' answers. Truth is, we all have a little bit of a different answer. But for me, it's just the fact that we have parts of our country that are still kind of wild to nature. Places we can go where we can see what our world looks like when it's untouched by human hands. Like when my friends and I go into the wilderness for our hikes or our camping trips or whatever we're doing, we always have the philosophy of leave no trace. And if every person who went into the wilderness had that philosophy, like we should really, we would have places in our country and in our world where we could see what it would be like to live in a world where maybe we weren't the dominant creature, where nature grows wild and strong, and where natural beauties like waterfalls and rivers, streams, mountains, slopes, cliffs, all those wonderful physical features that you guys have been learning about, where they go ungraffitied, undamaged, unpolluted. I just really think that it's important for us to have places like that in our world.